This is so annoying. No! I'm an idiot. Hello and welcome to a new video. It's been a while, a very long while, but I thought it would be fun to make another video for you guys because I do create basically every weekend. Whenever I make reels about sewing, people ask me for a bit more long form content, and obviously it takes a lot of effort to make, but I thought it would be fun to actually get back into it. So I don't know if you've heard, but recently Howl's Moving Castle was released again in a new edition, and it's beautiful. I do already have this ugly greenish purple version, but when I saw this, I was like, I need to buy it again. And that actually made me think, I made a Sophie Hatter dress about 2 years ago, and it was the greenish version, and I actually really liked it, but I was never wearing it, so I just ended up selling it. And I know I've already made this dress, but I feel like it's a good practice as a seamstress to actually just keep remaking the same things, just to see whether you've improved. But also, I'm quite comfortable at making the exact same thing all the time, being autistic. So I thought it would be fun to maybe remake the Sophie Hatter dress, but with a twist, because the green dress I made was very close to like the original version. So I used the Sophie Hatter pattern for it. I mean, like I said, it actually turned out quite nice, but I feel like maybe now 2 years later, it's a good time to remake it and make it better and make it a bit more historical. So let me show you guys what I have in mind. So first of all, please don't judge my lousy drawing skills. I used to be quite good at drawing in high school, but that is a very, very long time ago. So for this, I'm imagining a yoked blouse, just like Sophie wears in the movie, with a few buttons around the front. And then I want to have a gathered line at the bust that falls into a fitted waist. So very much an 1890s style. And to complement this, I want to have really big poofy sleeves. For the skirt, I'm planning to use the truly Victorian trumpet skirt pattern, which I already used for my red ensemble that I recently made. Really love the pattern, such a nice fit. And I'm going to add a little pin tuck at the hem to give it more body. So this time, instead of doing it in green, I know this is going to be a shock, but I'm going to make it in blue, because I actually quite like the blue one that Sophie wears in the movie, and I think a really nice dark petrol will look nice with this style. I'm also thinking of adding some lace insertions or maybe just lace applications around the yoke just to give it a bit more interest. That's the style I have in mind currently, so I'm aiming more for like a fancy Sophie Hatter rather than a Sophie Hatter working dress. So with that all out of the way, let's get straight to sewing. Welcome to day one of sewing. So today I am going to start cutting out the skirt, and hopefully I'll start to sew the skirt together as well. And then I'll figure out whether I actually have enough fabric or whether I have to order more. So basically this is narrower than I thought, and I'm already a little bit worried because I'm not sure I can actually fit the width of my skirt patterns on here, at least the back ones. So So if there's one thing I could ask for in this life, it would be a dedicated sewing room. Because I am getting so sick of sewing on the dining table, and then every night you have to move everything away, and whenever I want to use my mannequin, it has to come in from the garden house. But I guess that's what you get when you live in a Victorian flat in Scotland, because flats here are just tiny. Do you maybe sit in the way? All of the pockets are attached, and now we're getting to the part of sewing that I actually like the very best, which is where we're just like simply putting seam on seam on seam, and you don't have to do any thinking, you don't have to do any existential dreading, it's just your mind goes quiet and you just follow the flow, and you can put on a little YouTube video in the background, and it's just chef's kiss. So the last thing to do now is to sew the back seams together. So basically what I'm planning to do here, I've already got one side that has this little placket. The other side is just overlocked with a zigzag, and I'm going to sew this together up to about here for now. Okay, so now this is what we've got, but we still have this unfinished edge here, so I'm going to use some facing to turn this away. So I've just got one big pleat on each side, which finishes just like perfectly with the edge of the skirt. The way I usually do it is I have this very long strip, which I use as a waistband, and I like to have the side that will have the buttonhole, so the one that will be more visible. I end up sewing it from the inside and then flip it out so that it has a really nice edge. Whereas with the other side, that's going to be hidden anyways. I don't really bother that much. So I've got the bias binding attached alongside the entire skirt, and now I'll have to sew it down and then flip it over and then sew it down again, and then we'll finally get the iron out. And also just have a little chat about House Moving Castle, because I feel like I was actually quite a latecomer when it came to that. I was aware of Spirited Away and Princess Mononoke because I watched them when I was a child, and I feel like they were played on the German kids channels at like 8 o'clock at night, so I would get to watch them. And especially Princess Mononoke, I'm just like, I don't think 8-year-old me should have watched that. It wasn't until halfway through the lockdown that I saw just like some art on Instagram that someone drew about it, and I was like, you know, there's this little girl with her little braid and this guy who's got the dark hair and he's turning into a crow, and I was like, I mean, I've always had a very unhealthy obsession with the morally grey, kind of arrogant character, and I feel like Howl just fits into it so well. And Sophie, I don't know, it's just, I watched it and I have been obsessed. Let's finish our hem, and then I'm going to get the iron out, and I'm going to make some pin tucks. So it turns out where the fabric was folded, which is like the middle of the front, there's just a mark. So it didn't dye properly there. And it's so visible. And I didn't, oh my god, I'm so annoyed. Like, ah. So now I'm not sure whether I should like actually take the entire skirt apart and flip the front panel around. But that's so much work, especially considering I've already finished the skirt down here. Ah, what do I do? But this just looks silly. And I didn't notice. It's like I tried to iron it out. I thought it was just a mark, but it's like actually not dyed properly. Okay, so I guess let's just try this on and decide from there. Ah, this is so annoying. Oh my, why is it so obvious? It's so annoying. Welcome to day 2 of sewing the revision Sophie Hatter dress. And I just feel like I'm not really in the spirits today. It's been a week and I've already been out today, and I've shot content, and I've edited the pictures, and I've posted the pictures, and it's now well into the afternoon, and I've cut out my fabric, and I'm just very tired. Sewing gives me life energy. So if I don't sew, I'm just going to be sad for the rest of the next week. So I tell myself, you know, even though I feel like I just want to roll up in a little ball and just like hide somewhere in a corner where people forget that I exist and I never, ever, ever have to go to work again. Yeah, I think if I'm productive, if I sew, I'm just going to start feeling better. So for the bodice, I'm actually using a pattern that's quite easily attainable from Etsy. It's the Cosplay Sophie Hatter pattern from Pattern Studio. And that's actually the pattern I used for my previous Sophie Hatter dress. And I feel like the bodice is just perfect, and there's no point in changing anything that works, you know? The only thing I changed though is that it's obviously meant to be a dress, whereas I like having a bodice and a skirt. That's the pattern. It ends right at the waistline, so I've just added a little peplum, and it's just gonna tuck into the skirt, because otherwise if you lift your arms it will just move. So I like having a little bit to just go into the skirt to make sure it's nice and secure. I actually... No, Jesus Christ, I am an idiot. So I cut out the sleeve. One sleeve. I don't have enough fabric to cut out another sleeve. It is safe to say that I will not get a second sleeve out of that. Because originally I thought it would be nice to have like a poofy late Victorian sleeve. I have cut out the sleeves. They're going to be short and puffy, very much like I did for my red ensemble that you may have seen on Instagram, which was definitely the original idea, definitely not me making a mistake. Let's do it. Let's do it. Hello and welcome to day 3 of working on the Sophie Hatter ensemble. This is my garden house. This is where the mannequin lives. This is where I film my reels. This is quite small, so couldn't really get that far away, but also didn't want to leave the door open and then the neighbors can hear me chat to you. Yesterday I finished the bodice, and as you remember, things didn't go according to plan, but I think things will go better today. So basically what I have to do now is I still have to add 3 buttons. I have to make self-covered buttons, which I am absolutely terrible at. I have very, very little thread left that's blue. Let's hope it's enough for 3 buttonholes. So the closure's on this side, so it basically just opens here and opens here so that it's easier to get in and out. And I need to add some hooks and eyes to make that work. I realized that the cuffs are a little bit wide, so I'll maybe go in and take off 1 centimeter or so to make them a bit better fitted. And yeah, mainly we're out here currently with a mannequin because I want to put the lace on, because I thought it would make more sense to put the lace on first, just in case it kind of like needs to have a buttonhole on top of the lace. So that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great. Let's do that together.
After all the magic I used.
It's finished. But I feel like halfway through the project I actually started hating it a little bit, because I think I was really looking forward to having this skirt to wear to work, you know, like on a daily basis. But then when I realized the stripe was right here and I put on the laces, I felt like it just became a costume that I'd probably not wear that much. And I don't know, I always like to make things that, you know, may have a bodice that will look like really grand and ensemble, but also will be able to be broken down into a skirt with a blouse that I can wear more casually. But with a lace, doesn't really read casual anymore. But since I was planning to put lace onto the bodice anyways, I feel like that kind of pulls it together quite nicely. So even though it wasn't what I planned to do, it still turned out more fortunate than I originally thought. I'm not sure if it reads Sophie Hatter, because I think the sleeves being short just kind of gives it a bit of a different vibe. I was working with what I had. Yesterday was not a good day. Happens. And also I was quite disappointed that the collar ended up with such a huge gap. But I think because it's a mandarin collar rather than, you know, Peter Pan collar, it's fine. I was planning to add the lace like Sophie had in the movie, but that's actually something I did for the previous costume, and I felt that really made it feel quite costumey. So I didn't like that part, so I left it out this time. But yeah, I haven't actually tried it on myself yet, so that's something I'll do privately now. And then next weekend I'll shoot this, so I'll see you guys in the review. The project is finished, so I thought we'd just sit down for one last time and chat a little bit about my feelings towards the project. I had to change the lace applications because I absolutely hated it. It was a weird thing because on the mannequin I actually really liked it, but then when I put it on me I was just like, I look like a sailor because I guess the V shape kind of just looked like a sailor collar, and the blue and the white didn't really help with that, so I was just kind of like, you know, sometimes you make a project and you just hate it. I was like, ha! To the point where when I started taking the pictures, I actually wore a cardigan because I really did not like how the bodice turned out. I feel like the sleeves, I mean, I did use the shorter sleeve pattern, but also the piece of fabric I had left, which wasn't wide enough, so I actually had to make them a little bit thinner than I would normally make them. And for the life of me, I could not find the cuff pattern that I normally use with these short sleeves. It was just a bit cursed, to be honest. So I really didn't like it. And then I wore that cardigan for the shooting, and halfway through took it off just because I felt like, you know, I should at least try to take some pictures of this bodice. I didn't like it, and when I put it on me, I didn't like it. But then on the pictures, I was like, oh, this is actually quite nice. You need to have a bad project every once in a while to appreciate the good projects. And I guess it's not really that bad a project anyways. It just wasn't perfect. It accidentally turned out very, very similar to the red ensemble that I made recently because of the sleeves and the collar that ended up being too big. That was meant to be a bit... Oh well. But that is sewing, guys. Things just don't always go to plan. But, you know, we learn from our experiences, and with that I head on to the next project. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of format. I haven't done videos like this in a while. You may have noticed that the video quality changes throughout the video. Some parts were filmed on my phone, and then I got this new really fancy camera that can film to replace my 10-year-old model that wasn't so happy to film. Future videos can be filmed on this camera, and I think that's going to be way easier than trying to film it on the phone. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, whether you enjoyed this, what kind of content you'd like to see in the future, because I would like to continue on. I don't think I'll have time to like post every week, but you know, a project usually takes me around 2 to 3 weeks, so hopefully I can keep up with that schedule and also bring out videos. Because I guess the thing is just I do sew every weekend and I may as well make content out of it. Thank you for watching, everyone. I guess I should say things like and subscribe. I don't know how we do this. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.